Peggy 12.
Very cool. I think I prefer you back there. Do most people look at you and then... My name is Alexander Youngblood, and I am a game designer on the Current Activities team.
I'm Joe Kimmis. I'm the team lead on Current Activities team. Been working at the company for 12 years now.
I'm Brett Nellermoe, and I am the QA embed for the Current Activities team.
Our team was formed to create small-scale, interesting activities and events and stories.
Bite-sized, discoverable content that goes in between Living World episodes.
We also get to experiment with different kinds of gameplay and things that maybe don't even have rewards attached to them, which is where the cats came from.
A really fun thing about doing the Current Activities is it gives us a chance to work on a lot of different kinds of content.
We also do festivals, we do legendaries. I took over the birthday gift after the 3rd year.
For a while, I was working on kind of behind-the-scenes stuff where the very technical implementation, and it's a real treat to get to work on content that, you know, goes out and the players all play it and you can see people enjoying it and having fun.
It's Joe and me. We're the game designers, and then Brett is our QA and also our producer. I don't know if he knows that, but he is also our producer.
So I'm responsible for organizing all of the testing and helping to collaborate with people outside of the team and make sure that we have everything requested and in order. We have between 3 and 5 releases in between or during Living World episodes. We start from an idea and concept that out through paper design, and then as soon as there is something that can be tested at all, the team will get together and we'll try absolutely everything out, give feedback, iterate on it, and continue through the process until it's the most fun thing that we can make.
The first implementation of the cats was Matthew Pennebaker putting in almost as a joke. And it's the idea of there's this cat out there, you feed it, and it follows you back to your home because it wants more food. And then it became this like interesting puzzle opportunity. We got to create cats that would only respond to you if you were a certain profession. And we also got to kind of make fun of the professions a little bit that way.
The coolest one is absolutely the fight that you can have with Lady Wisteria Whiskington. The idea behind that was, what if we kind of turned one of the cats in your home instance into a semi-raid boss?
Can we turn the player character into the crazy cat person?
Of all the content we've made, it's something that players have connected with a little more. We would have patches go out and people would be asking on the forums, are there any new cats in this one? Has anyone checked all the cats? Sometimes we're looking at the game and thinking, you know, what kind of content do we want to see? Sometimes we're doing things because the Living Story teams really need something foreshadowed or need something resolved.
When we have the inspiration or a good opportunity to, we like to tie them in, at the very least thematically, to the Living World episode that is just recently passed.
The portal content that Joe created was something that was a favor to the Living World team, and they wanted to be able to tell this small-scale story about this big event that's happening.
There's these Awakened pouring into different zones. We were able to help explain a little about, like, what are the governments of the world thinking? Like, because Plawajoko is clearly bad news. During the portal events, we have these Defender NPCs who show up and are always fighting the Awakened. The Awakened force is always counterattacked by local defenders. Using the portal invasions as an example, we do a lot of work by ourselves. We kind of like sketch in with the like stated goal of, okay, we want to have these portals opening in a zone. We want to have the Awakened showing up. What do the portals look like? Do they kind of pop in? Do they show up for a long time and guys are pouring out of a single portal? what can you do about the portals? So a big element of this one was coordinating with narrative about what they wanted us to show. They help provide some of the context for what's going on if you're not aware of the ongoing story, or if you are aware of the ongoing story, helping you understand where we're at.
Probably more than any piece of content that we have, legendary weapons require a lot of communication in between teams.
Legendary weapons can take months of time to create. Not only do we want to get all the details of the actual art correct, but we want it to be something that has a lot of effects attached to it, and it's something that's really awesome. It's the biggest reward in our game, and I've made one. I made the Shining Blade, and it was a ton of work to do. And so we want to reward players for putting that much work into something. Legendaries are either a collaborative idea between the artists and designer and everyone else, or sometimes the artist will already have something that they have created that just looks awesome, and they'll show it to us. And we're just like, we are going to use that as it is.
Once someone has come up with a awesome weapon that could be legendary, both being an awesome shape or maybe a really cool idea for an animation, then they make that model, and then it's just a matter of making awesome sound effects and visual effects to really sell that it's a legendary weapon. From the initial creation of the model, we're constantly interfacing with sound design and with our effects artists to make something that is going to be appreciated by as many people as possible.
The Shining Blade was the most collaborative out of all of them, I would say. It is very much attached to the story of Divinity's Reach and Shining Blade.
Most of my fond memories for legendary weapons involve just gushing around how awesome they look and seeing how they look on different characters and professions.
Working on festivals is really weird because we start working on them months before players are actually experiencing them. So it's summertime and I'm already full into Halloween mode. And right as Halloween goes out, we're already working on Winter Stay. The way we do festivals is we come up with all the art we want to do ahead of time. We have a big brainstorming meeting where we draw everything on the board. And so that's our chance to kind of create a theme. This year's theme was these angry rewards and also the snow diamond. So we had the snow diamond infusion, we had the snow diamond tonic, and we were actually introducing snow diamonds as a currency as well.
Our approach for refreshing festivals generally is couched in trying to give players what they really ask for. We're constantly checking out the forums and Reddit to see what people are interested in or improvements that they'd like to see, and really responding to how we think we can make them more fun and more rewarding.
Joe is really good at making the content really maintainable and automated.
The default, if we just want to have the festival happen again, is we have to make sure the times for it are set up. We would swap out the town art every time, so there'd be a build to turn it on, a build to turn it off. We'd have to make sure the town art still worked, because in the case of Halloween this last year, for example, we had had mounts come out in Path of Fire. We took the opportunity to set up the towns in a more graceful way so that all of the Halloween town art just phases in when it's time for Halloween and then phases out when Halloween is over, without us having to run a build, set up a different map file. So we're putting in the work now to set up some of those systems so that there's always achievements to do again. There's always rewards to seek out again.
Festivals are a fun time because we get to put in interesting and whimsical rewards that we can't do the rest of the year. For Halloween, we had the Failed Attempt, which is this monstrous looking creation that one of the artists had come up with. And me and Matthew Pennebaker saw that and we just loved it. So that had to go into the game. And then for Winter's Day, we had another one. It was the Eggnog Helmet. And I just love the image of that. Just this kind of like metal stein of eggnog just right in your head, and the artist had a ton of fun with it.
Something really fun we've been doing with festivals this year is now that we have mounts, we got the opportunity to add mount races and a bunch of festivals.
I really like mount races, and Joe just so happens to also really like making them. So with every festival release that we've had, starting with Halloween and all the way through Lunar New Year, we've done a mount race for each one of these festivals.
Had a lot of fun with that because we drew inspiration from the whole idea of there being a race between all the animals of the zodiac that determined what year they were all assigned. Got, halfway done with that race and realized some important things, like we don't have a horse model for the game. We had a debate for a while about whether we could put a centaur in the race, whether that was like, can we call a centaur a horse? We're talking about that internally with the team and the artists and saying, hey, like, is there any kind of is there anything like a horse even? We had these horse dummies from an old derelict jousting arena in Divinity's Reach. Chelsea told us, oh, well, I could have a Skrit riding one of these and we'll put little wheels on it and it's just like, it's riding a toy horse. And we're like, that sounds amazing. The first version of it with wheels, it's got some barding on the horse and you couldn't really see what was going on. She went back and made it instead 2 Skrit under the horse who were jogging along, and it's just incredible looking.
We got a lot of feedback during Halloween that it didn't feel very inclusive to have this thing that was Path of Fire content that was involved in a thing that was entirely available even if you had never purchased an expansion pack. So we did some work both in Lunar New Year and Winter's Day to give people opportunities to experience all of the content, participating in the race on foot because we have achievements specifically for that, or mount rentals, which we were the first team to create.
It's definitely challenging to work on all of this content at once, but because we have so much ownership of it on our own, it is a little bit easier to do it. It's really rewarding to see the players' reaction knowing that that's something I added.
We really like making content that's bite-sized and discoverable and experimental, but always as fun as possible.
What about you? What do you do here?